Has BYU earned a New Year's Six Bowl bid? Have they done enough? Obviously, the scrimmage against Idaho State, your Georgia Southern matchup, and then you have USC on the schedule. I don't know if I can confidently say today they've done enough, Jake, but in your opinion, does BYU belong in a New Year's Six Bowl?
Yeah, I mean, I think right here today, yeah, you still have some proving to do, but I do think this particular year, yeah, I think they do, and the reason for that, well, there's actually a couple of reasons. Number one, I think if you end your season on a high, and we've been talking about this all year long, and it's funny how all this has played out, but if you end your season on a high, and let's say that you handle USC on the road, let's say that you beat USC by 14 points, let's say, in a comfortable fashion, in a dominant fashion, you can't tell me you're not going to get rewarded with the New Year's Six Bowl by the people ranking teams. I just can't see a world where BYU goes on the road and does that and they're not rewarded. That would be really surprising to me. Secondly, I think um, you know, the ESPN relationship, how many eyeballs are on BYU. You can't tell me that those things are not being taken into account by the people ranking teams. And so, to me, have they done enough to earn a spot right here today? No. But if you go out and you win these last two games, then yes, in my opinion, you have. And I think for BYU as a program, getting to a New Year's Six Bowl would be the perfect, cherry on top to what's been a really what I think we could all agree has been an up and down season. You've played good football for the most part. You feel like if you hadn't had all those turnovers against Boise, that maybe we'd be having a different conversation right now. But at the end of the day, you're still right here, and you still have a lot to play for. So yes, I think assuming they win these last two games and they beat USC comfortably, you've done enough, in my opinion, to be in a New Year's Six Bowl.
Well, and I think that's the biggest question. Will you have done enough? Today, I think they have. I think obviously it's not good enough. We're only on November 8th. But I think when you look at the fact that you're going to finish at USC and you're probably going to beat them, because I don't think USC has any idea what they're doing with quarterbacks. This whole Jackson Dart situation, the way they're using him, sometimes he's playing, sometimes he's not. Like, it's really bizarre. I think you gotta hand him the football and let him play. But I think if they beat USC, especially at USC, and I don't care who's hurt and who's not, it is not a diminished win. It is another win over a top 20, a top really a perennial college football powerhouse is the way to say it. 6 wins, over P5 teams. Like, there's no way to knock what BYU has done. Would you have loved to have gone undefeated? Sure, any team would. But how many undefeated teams are left? And if you look at the way the college football playoff is going now, you can't tell me that a team like a Cincinnati, who barely hung on to win over the weekend, is more deserving than BYU. And to me, Jake, that's the conversation. If you look at the teams that are currently set up to be in a New Year's Six and to be in the college football playoff, I just don't know how you justify. Like, everybody's hot on UTSA right now. Everybody's hot on Cincinnati.
Mhm.
How can you look at the schedule that BYU's played and then be more impressed with Cincinnati, be more impressed with teams like UTSA? I just don't see how that's possible.
Yeah, I think for like Cincinnati fan or UTSA fan, like I think what they're leaning on is the fact that the Pac-12 is not a good conference, and really right now in the top 25, the Pac-12 has the fewest teams in the top 25 with one, and that's Oregon. So I think if you're a Cincinnati fan, the case that you're going to make is that hey, sure, BYU has 5 P5 wins and will likely have 6 P5 wins by the time the season's over. But, who are those P5 teams compared to who we've played? Now that would be Cincinnati fans' take. My take is it doesn't really matter to, in the big scheme of things for BYU if their P5 opponents are Alabama or if it's Stanford, right? Or if it's UCLA or whoever. The fact is you're able to say as a BYU fan, yeah, man, we've got, 5 P5 wins and we've got 1 bad loss. I mean, that's a pretty good resume to be, sitting on. And I think, again, that's why this USC game has always been so important. And that's why I appreciate, the scheduling and the job that Tom Holmoe's done, because at the end of the day, think about it. If you didn't have the USC game on your schedule to end the year, what are we really looking at here, right? I mean, if you had another Waxahachie State to end the season, you don't have any way to justify.
Waxahachie
Yeah,
State.
but I know all jokes aside, I'm being serious. Like if you don't have that one last big game on your schedule to end the year, and send a clear message that you are better than
Yeah.
SC, and
Yeah.
you're better than Utah, even though I think, we're going to get to Utah. I think if BYU and Utah played again, I think there'd be a different outcome, frankly, but it doesn't matter. You beat Utah this year. So that's why I say there's a lot at play here. But at the end of the day, for BYU, regardless of what Cincinnati fan thinks, you have to beat USC and you have to beat them in a dominant fashion to get to the New Year's Six Bowl. And I think they will do that.
Yeah, I think it is a foregone conclusion at this point that BYU's had one of the best seasons in the history of the program. But is it diminished if you don't get a New Year's Six Bowl? I think there will be a significant level of disappointment. I mean, you come out, you're 14th in the AP Top 25. You would think that you would move up based on who's lost in the college football playoff rankings. You would think that you would be probably somewhere around 12 this week. I mean, you're really close. You are really close. Now, you're also into a bye here. You're then going to play a Georgia Southern team that you should dismantle. So where are we going to be in 3 weeks when you're getting ready for USC?
You're not going to – there's no way that BYU should be past, like, 20th, right? But you're going to take – there's going to be – you're going to fall –
20th?
Like, you're going to fall in the rankings off your bye week. That always happens for teams, right? Where, like,
No, I totally disagree. They're not going to be 20th. There's no justification.
No, I'm not saying they're going to be 20th. I'm saying they're not going to fall past that. I'm saying that they're going to be in the teens somewhere, and that SC win is going to define whether they get
I totally
top 12.
Disagree. I think that where they are this week is where they're going to be after their bye. I don't think you punish a team for a bye week. I don't think it matters that their bye is in November. I think BYU should rightfully be around 12th when the college football playoff rankings come out tomorrow. I think that you're hoping for a larger jump than that, but it would seem like, and this is just my opinion based on what we saw in the AP Top 25, it would seem like there's a lot of, love for teams like Wake Forest. I think it'll be interesting to see where, the Michigan States of the world end up. Because you're looking at teams, frankly, that, in my opinion, get a lot more love than they deserve in the AP Top 25. And I think that's why the college football ranking is so much more important, because I think that you have industry professionals judging that. And I think the AP Top 25 has been, there's a lot of pollstering that goes on. There's a lot of politicking that goes on that I think is not present for the college football playoff. But the idea that you would almost punish BYU because of a bye week, I think is a bit much. I think BYU should be 12th, in my opinion, when those rankings come out. And I think a week from now, they should still be 12th. And I think they're going to steamroll Georgia Southern. And this goes to the conversation we were having watching this game. Like, why did you pull your second, or why did you pull your first string so early in this game? Like, I mean, it is a little disappointing that BYU did not try to put up 65, 70 points in this game. I think it's mandatory. And I think that you're playing a team in Idaho State who doesn't belong on the same field with you. Take advantage of that. And injuries are part of football. Injuries are going to happen. Football hurts. Obviously, we saw that against Idaho State. But you need to send a message with these two games. And I don't think BYU did that, frankly, against Idaho State. I think they missed an opportunity to really, really send a message. And I don't know why you wouldn't have done that. In my opinion, that was a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, that's what these games are about. I mean, that's what, that we see this every single year. You've got some powerhouse team just kicking the living hell out of some team that shouldn't be on the same field with them. And I feel like, those are the kind of games where you want to put up 60 or 70 so that on the next day on ESPN on the stringer, it says BYU 71, Idaho State 10.
Because
Like,
no poll voter is going to be watching that game.
yeah.
And frankly, I doubt many in the college football playoff are going to be watching that game. But what my point is that they watch the box scores.
Mm-hmm.
They watch the tickers of they watch the wrap up shows. You need to put a highlight tape on film. And to me, I don't know that BYU did that. And if it was up to me, I'd have run that score up. I would have absolutely taken every snap possible with my ones, and I would have boat raced Idaho State right off the field because I'm here to prove a point. And what's the point of scheduling Idaho State in November if that's not what you're doing? Because I guarantee you next week that's what Alabama and Nick Saban are going to be doing. So I would have liked to see BYU be a heck of a lot more aggressive with with their tactics in that game. Now, hey, if they come out of the bye and you're right with some crazy scenario where they're not in the top 20 anymore, maybe you do that. But I'd do it anyway. I don't know. I'm merciless in that way. And, maybe this is part of the issue that, we always talk about is Kalani, is Kalani soft? Is Kalani showing too much heart for his opponent? The problem with that theory is I'm not here for the opponent. I'm here for what's best for BYU football.
Yeah.
And that to me feels like an issue. So we'll see. I don't know. To round this conversation out, I do feel like BYU has done quite a bit. Now you have some work to do against USC, but BYU's done quite a bit to earn a New Year's Six Bowl, and I think they belong there. I really do. I think if BYU is if BYU's not in a New Year's Six Bowl, I would be incredibly disappointed.
It would be surprising, in my opinion. I mean, I just don't know why.
If you run the table.
Yeah, if you run the table, assuming you run the table, it would be surprising that they would not be there. I mean, again, if you run the table, you have the ability to say, hey, man, we've got 6 P5 wins. Like, we have dominated this schedule.
Yeah.
We've got one bad loss. One loss where you're like, man, we just played like crap. We turned the football over. We just did not play well. And then, go ahead.
But then what do you say to Oklahoma? Oklahoma's 9-0, and Cincinnati's ranked ahead of Oklahoma in the AP top 25.
Yeah.
It makes no sense to me. And, I look at Georgia, 9-0, number 1, 63 first place votes, not a question in my mind.
Yeah, I think if you're a Cincinnati fan, like you're getting what you asked for. And I feel like, you made a point last week about Notre Dame, about how, Notre Dame has all this brand recognition, but every time they get to the college football playoff, they get their face punched in. And that's what I feel like. And I'm not trying to hate on Cincinnati fan, but that's what I feel like is going to happen here. Cincinnati is going to get in a college football playoff, and they're going to get stopped. And that's because they haven't played anybody. They're not a proven team. So I don't know, man. I understand, that we have to value undefeated teams at this point in the season, but I just can't, I can't get down with, Cincinnati, somehow having this powerhouse program all of a sudden, and everyone thinks that they're going to go out and win a national championship, because I just don't see it.
But this is, again, what I say about Wake Forest. Wake Forest has a nice win or two. They should not be ranked ahead of BYU, in my opinion. I look at Wake and I say to myself, okay, I guess I get it. You're in a P5 conference. BYU's an independent. But are we talking about who's a better football team? I think BYU has a better resume. I know BYU has a better resume. I look at the projections. Obviously you're looking at major brands. I would be really surprised if Georgia and Alabama didn't meet in the SEC championship game. How much do you discount the loser of that game?
I think they have to pay a price, but at the end of the day, listen, what to me, what the college football playoff should come down to overall is this mix of, okay, we know we have the 2 best teams in the country, right? And this is why I feel like everyone is so surprised about Alabama being number 3. We know for a fact, without a shadow of a doubt, that Alabama is a better team than Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
We all know that. So the college football playoff should simply come down to the two best teams, Georgia and Alabama, and then everybody else. And this is where I feel like, you can't have three losses if you're trying to get into the college football playoff. That just can't be a reality if you want to be there. So penalizing teams for losing at the top end, yeah, I mean, if you have three losses, you should be done. That's just I literally I think that's just how it works.
It'll be interesting to see what happens with BYU. I think there's just as much intrigue with Utah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if Utah ends up in the Rose Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
even if they don't win the Pac-12 championship, I mean, if you look at if you look at where the rankings are now, there's a lot of people, who have Oregon going to the Cotton Bowl. And that puts whoever, the runner-up is into the Rose Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be either Oregon or Utah. So, I mean, Utah's in a really good position, dismantling Stanford.
Yeah.
Absolutely just breaking them in half.
Isn't it a bit surprising they're not in the top 25? Like even the low end of the top 25?
I am stunned that Utah's not ranked in the top 25.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a nutty college football season. I don't think there's any doubt about it. And you know what? I know that Cincinnati fan hates that we have a lot of Cincinnati fans who comment on this show. I get it. I just don't think that there's a genuine argument for teams like Cincinnati and Wake Forest.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't. I mean, if you're going to do it as an independent, I don't know how BYU's not the blueprint.
Yeah, they've done a hell of a job.
I really don't know. I don't know what else you could ask BYU to do other than what they've done. I mean, obviously, you would rather have not turned the ball over 26 times and lost to Boise.
Mm-hmm.
And you would have liked to have had some semblance of a quarterback who was able to play quarterback against Baylor. But other than that, I mean, you've looked pretty good the rest of your schedule. I have no respect for what Cincinnati's done. It's a joke to me that they're ranked number 2 in the country. It's embarrassing.
Yeah.
To me, it's embarrassing with that schedule. How am I the only one that's not appalled that Cincinnati's number 2?
It makes you wonder, well, at least it makes me wonder personally, like, if the committee's sitting around saying, okay, we know we've got Georgia and Alabama in this thing, and we know we've got a couple of weeks to make them the two best teams in the country and everything. So, how much of the, hey, we need people talking about this, TV ratings, all that kind of a thing, is the Cincinnati at number 2 thing? It makes me wonder about that.
Yeah, and I just think, there's going to be a lot of people that, that devalue the Pac-12 or BYU can only play the teams that they've scheduled. A team like Cincinnati is in a weak-ass conference and has played subpar competition. So are we going to devalue Cincinnati because of their subpar competition? Well, no, they're the number 2 team in the country. So then why are we devaluing BYU?
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't reconcile in my mind that Cincinnati gets all the respect that they get. It just doesn't. And again, this is why I tell you, I don't care who's the 9th string tailback at BYU. I don't ever want to hear their name. I don't want to see him on the field. I want to see Tyler Algier pounding Idaho State. I want to see Jaron Hall pounding Idaho State.
Mm-hmm.
I want 60, 70 points on the board against Idaho State. You didn't get that. And when you're trying to make a New Year's Six Bowl, do you understand the money? Do you understand the prominence? Do you understand you're already continuing week after week? It feels like BYU gets a huge recruiting win. Put up 60 points and go to a New Year's Six Bowl and see what that does.
Yeah.
Yet, Utah's having one of the worst seasons in Kyle Whittingham's tenure. Right? I mean, all the adversity off the field in the last 12 months, like just horrendous. You feel terrible. And now all of a sudden you've run your Pac-12 slate. You're going to probably end up in the Rose Bowl. And there's an argument to be made that Utah had a better season than BYU, regardless of what happened in the rivalry game.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Well, and that's because Utah's going to play in the Rose Bowl, and you're going to play in the Pool and Weed Eater Bowl. And so I just don't understand the philosophy of, oh, let's take our foot off the gas. We've got to play the 38th string right tackle to make sure that we have depth. It makes no sense. I don't care who the X depth player is.
Yeah.
We're not here to play. Everybody gets a participation ribbon. Don't care. We're here to go to a New Year's Six Bowl. We're here to win football games. We're here to make money.
Facts.
Exactly right. What's the church all about? Making money. So let's not talk about, like there was an argument Saturday night on Twitter. Well, you know, morally speaking, fuck morals. I'm not here for morals. I'm here to win football games. Excuse my French. Because I was again told over the weekend I cursed too much.
I really don't care if you think it's sus.
Yeah, I get it. I curse too much. Whatever. My point is, I'm not here to play nice guy.
Yeah.
We're here to win football games. We're here to go to New Year's Six Bowl games. You know, like, why was it such a big deal then you got into the Big 12? Why was it such a big deal? What does getting into the Big 12 mean to you?
I don't know.
We get to print nice hats and T-shirts? No. What it means is that BYU has access to a national championship. But we're nice, you know. Yeah, we have a touchdown lead. We better take a knee. No, we don't take knees. No. We put 60, 70 points on Idaho State, and we send a message that we belong playing in a game on New Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
That's what playing football games is all about, period. All right, let's get some of the comments in here. Q Sam says, bless you, Monty. No, Q Sam, bless you. The Blind Swordsman says, morning, boys. Nice to see y'all again. How was your trip? It was all right. We'll talk about it at the end. I mean, the actual snowboarding part of it was great until there was a weather hold. But anyway, Neville93 says, good morning, guys. What a disappointing weekend for the Jazz. Yeah, we'll talk about that coming up, too. One note with Cincy, the Swordsman says, they struggled against a team BYU would crush. So, yeah, BYU should have more of a resume than Cincy, but what do I know? They do.
Yeah.
You know. Clint Griffith says, BYU, the tackling has got to improve. Absolutely. I would agree with it. There's a lot of fundamentals that have to improve. This is a Dak Prescott argument.
Yeah, seriously.
Dallas is getting torched, and Dak Prescott is in the game in the final 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And people are losing their minds.
I think that's HIPAA.
I mean, Dak Prescott's in the game so they can feel good about their offense next week. Right? I mean, that to me, that's the bottom line. I want people to understand that football is a huge, huge mental game. It is a huge mental game. And I'm just telling you right now that BYU missed an opportunity against Idaho State.
Absolutely.
Daryl says Kalani's too nice to visiting coaches. Maybe. Tanner says BYU wanted to avoid injuries. Well, did they do that? Oh, wait, they didn't do that. No, you don't avoid injuries in football. They happen. They happen.
We're not at that time in the year anymore. Like, do we? We're on the same page about that, right? Like we're past. This isn't week 2, right? Like we're in November here. We're in November, and BYU has something to play for. This isn't like, hey, yeah, let's just have a nice season and get to 6 wins. We're past that time in BYU history. I mean, we're talking about New Year's Six Bowls and getting into the Big 12 and all this great stuff. So, with all due respect, I just can't get down with, hey, we're trying to run injury prevention out there. If you were trying to run injury prevention out there, why was Jaron playing against Baylor? Help me.
Yeah. The injury thing, and there's 3-4 people who mentioned it. It's football. Football hurts. Guys get hurt no matter who they are or where they are. Playing football hurts, and you're going to get hurt. BYU fan CJ, good morning to you, says, it was nice seeing who we have behind Algier, not named Katoa. No, it wasn't. No, actually, it was not.
Why is this a thing?
I don't know why it was a thing.
Help BYU fan. Help me understand. Why, in a time, again, this is the important part, in a time when you're trying to justify getting into a New Year's Six Bowl, when you're trying to do bigger and better things in the program.
When you are on the precipice of history.
Why do we give a damn about the Jacob Conover of running backs? Why do we care? Right? Like cool. We saw who was behind Peeny. Great. That doesn't matter. You got to have against these crap teams that are not nearly on your level, you got to have 60, 70 points. You have to. That's the whole point of playing these people in November.
Will you be saying that it was nice to see who running the back depth was when you're playing in a meaningless bowl game?
Right? Like, as a BYU fan,
Absolutely meaningless.
Like, are you going, because you can't have it both ways. So you can't say, okay, well, against Idaho State, we definitely saw our depth, and that was great to see. And then 3 weeks later, be upset when you didn't get into a New Year's Six Bowl. You can't have it both ways. And so that's why I say, yeah, neat, you have depth, but at the end of the day, 65 points is much more valuable than seeing who the 15th string running back is on this team.
How many times can you say that you scored 60 points back to back? How many times can you say you should have scored 70 points against Idaho State? You should have.
Yeah.
59-14 to me is you missed an opportunity. And again, I don't disagree. I don't disagree that, hey, it's really frustrating to me. This whole argument is, with all due respect to Jackson McChesney, and McChesney's a nice player. You ran for 4.3 yards a carry against Idaho State. Congratulations.
Sorry, folks, that's what it is.
Congratulations. I would rather not have ever seen Jackson McChesney play and had Tyler Algier run for 250, 300 yards and go to a New Year's Six Bowl and then do it, do that again in 2 weeks against Georgia Southern in a uniform I cannot stand, all white and royal with a royal helmet with all white. Huge mistake, but that's just me. Go out there and do it again and score 70 against Georgia Southern, and then go to SC and win another game and go to a New Year's Six Bowl, be a top 10 ranked team. Because that's the thing. Like, when's the last time BYU finished the season, a full season, ranked in the top 10?
Couldn't tell you.
When's the last time that BYU had national respect across the board? That's what you're playing for. And nobody seems to care. I feel like BYU fan has largely been like, yeah, the season's over. This was a nice season. Hey, way to go, fellas. Way to go. Neat. Okay, can I get my Big 12 t-shirt now? Like, that's what I feel like where BYU fan is at. And it's incredibly disappointing. It's incredibly disappointing. I just don't know why it doesn't matter more. I don't know why it doesn't matter more. Wow, comment dump. Mind Axiom says, I think the game in Vegas that set the record was full of BYU fans, also made the Cougs more intriguing to the committee. Okay. That was 2 months ago against Arizona, who's turned out, by the way, to be very not much good. Daryl says, who's better, Cincy in 21 or no, I'm not going to say that name, Daryl. I'm not doing it. I will never say the 2C word ever again on the show. Never. And it's the 2C word. Anyway, Cincy would, BYU fan CJ says, Cincy would get beat by any of the top 15. They aren't great and did the Boise model. They lose against SMU or a playoff team. Maybe. Daryl says, hey, it was senior day. CJ says,
senior day.
BYU fan CJ says, haha, Utah had a better season. The only reason they see the roses is because of the Pac-12. Yep, but that's the formula.
The only reason. Yeah, they're in the Pac-12, dude. What do you mean
they haven't
the only
lost
reason?
Do you understand? They haven't lost a thing, Utah. They haven't lost a thing. They have run through their schedule, won every game they needed to win. Would have been nice to beat Oregon State, I agree. But who cares? What, like, you can't they're likely going to the Rose Bowl. How do you discount that in any way, shape, or form? And this is the Greg Wrubell tweet over the weekend. Like, this is what I don't understand about BYU fan. How do you find the nerve to discount a Rose Bowl? How do you have the balls to do that? I don't understand that at all. I don't get it. It's the Rose Bowl.
Yeah.
Who cares how you got there?
You got there.
You're in the Rose Bowl. So explain to me how that's at all a bad thing. And by the way, with the adversity that Utah has faced, yeah, they've had a phenomenal season.